stay tuned, because the United States Hot Rod Association has gone down to Houston, Texas. The site, the Houston Astrodome, and they've assembled the biggest, baddest, and meanest monster trucks in the world. And we're bringing you all the action on Monster Truck Challenge here on ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
It's wall-to-wall monster truck racing here on Monster Truck Challenge as one of the biggest fields of trucks ever assembled under one roof. The biggest roof in the world here at the Houston Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Hello again, race fans. I'm Ken Brew, and I mean to tell you, my pal Joe Lowe is going to have his hands full today. It is wall-to-wall monster truck racing action. Now, it's so special tonight that we've got to throw out the normal way that these trucks qualify. As a matter of fact, it can best be described as luck of the draw. Now, here's what you'll see in round one. Bigfoot faces the Hawk. First Blood and Tough Enough do battle. King Crunch and the Clydesdale are next up. Then it's Outlaw and Warrior. Tropical Thunder and the Valvoline Eagle. No Problem and Wild Hair. The Auto Value Special and Wild Thing. Buffalo Tremor and Dirty Dancing round out the action. Now, while Blue Max gets a first round bye, you gotta love it. Faced with a massive list of monster trucks, the USHRA officials in Houston said, let's just pair them up. Let them have some fun. Here to welcome back some of our old friends to Monster Truck Challenge is Joe Lowe.
Thank you, Ken. And look who's here. Andy Brass and Bigfoot going against Mark Pristash and the Hawk. Look for the green light, guys. Showtime in Houston. Over the first hill, Andy Brass clears the entire set of cars, and the win for Bigfoot and Andy Brass in our first round competition here in the Houston Astrodome. Here's Bigfoot on the ISO cam over that first hill. Turn on the gas. Come on home, Andy. Boom. Airborne. Bigfoot doesn't even touch the cars. And the win, of course, goes to Andy Brass and Bob Chandler's Bigfoot. Here's a matchup for you. Rob Fuchs in the red Ford called First Blood going against Joey Pittman in Pablo Cruz's Tough Enough. So it's a Ford Chevy matchup. Both are big red trucks. Both love the long run, and they're going to get one right now. Over the first hill for First Blood. Pittman running behind. Whoa! Pittman having a lot of bounce to the ounce, and the win goes to First Blood and Rob Fuchs. So Rob Fuchs and Andy Brass, two Fords, proceed to the next round of competition. Very, very easy on that first hill. Rob gives it the gas as he comes off, up the ramp, over the cars. Meanwhile, over in the other lane, Tough Enough and Joey Pittman just can't do it. First Blood and Bigfoot both proceed to the next round. So Ford and Ford. The next matchup, I know we're going to have a Chevy in our next round competition because we have the Auto Value King Crunch going against the Clydesdale. Bennett Clark, the former rodeo rider out of Georgia, going against Rob Grossman, driving Scott Stevens' King Crunch. Grossman having some trouble. And the bright pink Clydesdale picks up the win in Houston. Rob Grossman and the King Crunch having some trouble there, and the Spring Texas boy just can't bring it home for the crowd. Meanwhile, Bennett Clark in that bright pink Clydesdale comes up over the cars. He's having a bouncy ride, but he's got a win, and he advances to our quarterfinals here in Houston. The win goes to the Clydesdale. Next up, Nick Rossi out of Pennsauken, New Jersey in the Outlaw, going against Lupe Sosa and the Warrior. There's the Outlaw, the Warrior, both staged. We're set. Outlaw pulling out and comes up with a full truck length victory over the Warrior. But what is this? Some smoke coming at the Outlaw. Could Nick Rossi have some problems here? I hope not. He has worked hard to get to the quarterfinals, a big win over the Warrior. And Nick Rossi wants to look down and see for himself. On the ISO cam, let's see if we can pick up where that happened. Nice ride over that first hill. He turns it on, hits the row of cars, makes it over about 3/4 of the way, and there's the smoke. There's the problem. Definitely something coming out from the Outlaw. Nick Rossi may have some problems. Meanwhile, the Warrior, he just didn't have it today. He just didn't have it, was slow off the line, and could not come up with a win. I don't know whether I'd want to load the Warrior up yet, Lupe. We're not too sure what's going on with the Outlaw. We'll have to find out on that later on. Meanwhile, at the line, Tropical Thunder, Wayne Smozanek going against Gary Schott and the Valvoline Eagle. They're lined up, staged, and set to go in the Astrodome. Off the line, the Valvoline Eagle has it. But look at this. Tropical Thunder comes from behind as he picks up a win in the GMC. Wayne Smozanek out of Florida, and Tropical Thunder defeats the Valvoline Eagle and Gary Schott. He was slow off the line. Maybe just a little bit apprehensive about that first hill, but not at all apprehensive about sailing over those cars as Tropical Thunder does it in the Astrodome. Our next lineup, John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee in the HPX No Problem against Marvin Smith and Wildhair. Marvin out of Missouri, John out of Tennessee. Side by side, they go off the line in the Chevy Ford confrontation. John Moore has to play catch-up, and the Ford Bronco does. John Moore in the HPX No Problem, a win over Marvin Smith Wildhair. On the ISO cam now, we see John Moore. He realizes he's falling behind the Wildhair. He's got to turn it on. He hits the ramp up over the cars, and the Bronco makes it over the finish line first. John Moore advances with no problem. Next up, one of the newest trucks on the circuit, Scott Stevens and the brand new Auto Value Racer against Don Frankish and Wild Thing. Don, one of the favorites of the crowd in the big Ford. Scott Stevens in the Chevy Auto Value out of Spring, Texas. This crowd in Houston loves him. And look what happens. Wild Thing stuck on the line. Scott Stevens doesn't have a problem at all. Matter of fact, he doesn't have any competition. What happened to Wild Thing? Even Scott Stevens is looking for the competitor. He goes, where is he? He has Auto Value on one side of the truck. The truck is still brand new. Matter of fact, when they pulled it in here into the Astrodome, you could still smell the paint job. A brand new truck, and he picks up a win. We're still waiting to see what happened to the Wild Thing and Don Frankish. Broke on the line. That's a tough break before a great crowd here in Houston. The brand new truck of Scott Stevens advances.